Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. I welcome you all to today's session of the daily quiz. I hope all of you are doing absolutely fine. Also reminding you once again, all that you need to do to get a one-on-one free counseling session with our experts is to fill up the Google form whose link is in the description of the video. Our experts will help you guide through any issues that you have with your UPSC preparation. With that out of the way, let's begin with the first question of today's daily quiz. Consider the following statements with regards to the Consumer Price Index. Number 1. At an all India level, the current CPI basket comprises 299 items. Second, the base year for the current series of indices is 2012. Third, the CPI has 6 main components: food and beverages, pan, tobacco and intoxicants, clothing and footwear, housing, fuel and light, and miscellaneous. And fourth, out of the main components of the CPI, the largest weight is given to housing. How many of these given statements are correct? Now, CPI again is an extremely important data that gives a lot of information, mainly about inflation, about the rising prices of commodities at the consumer level. Out of these given statements, first is true. It comprises about 299 items taken together, and the base year is 2012. The third statement is also true. It has, as you can see, 299 items, but mainly it has 6 main components, and the categories are in front of you. Now, the interesting part is, out of this 6, which has been given the most weightage or the highest weightage, that is not housing. The highest weightage is actually given to food. Over 50% weightage of the CPI amongst the main components is given just to food and beverages, because that impacts a consumer's day-to-day life the most. As you can see, doesn't matter which income level you belong to, you will consume food, you will consume some beverages. You don't have a car, so you won't go and purchase any fuel. If you don't live in your own house, you won't be buying houses, but at least you would have to buy for food and beverages. The correct answer thus is C. Any 3 are correct. The fourth statement is wrong. There is a very detailed article in today's Indian Express newspaper about the inflation data in terms of the CPI, that says that based on the CPI, inflation rate has touched 5.7% rather in the month of December. As you know, the inflation rate is supposed to be 4% plus minus 2%. The responsibility of maintaining the inflation rate within this limit is of the RBI, under which they use the monetary policy measures to ensure that the inflation rate remains within this limit. Next is question number 2. Consider the following statements with regards to World Economic Forum. Number 1. German professor Klaus Schwab, a professor of business policy at the University of Geneva, founded the World Economic Forum in 1971, originally known as the European Management Forum. Second, it introduced a concept of stakeholder capitalism. And third, it publishes global rankings and indices such as a Global Competitiveness Report and the Ease of Doing Business Report. How many of these given statements are correct? Now, the famous WEF takes place at Davos. It's one of those places where economists all around the world meet, and not just the economists. In fact, most of the leaders around the world of the biggest nations also come together to present their views about the economy. It's unique in the sense that this is a gathering which is not backed up by any country or the UN for that matter. It's a gathering which has voluntarily come up to such a large extent that the leaders around the world actually take place or take part in this particular meeting. First and the second statements are true. Stakeholder capitalism basically means that capitalism, but keeping in mind that there is long-term value creation. Capitalism does not just have to give you instant profit, it has to develop long-term value as well. Third statement is wrong, the reason being that the Ease of Doing Business report is actually published by the World Bank. So the WEF publishes a lot of reports. One of this is the Global Competitiveness Report, but the Ease of Doing Business report is not from the WEF. Thus, the correct answer here is B. Any 2 of these given statements are correct. The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is from 15th of Jan to the 19th of Jan at Davos in Switzerland. Next, question number 3. Consider the following statements with regards to multidimensional poverty. Number 1. MPI considers 12 different indicators of poverty included under 3 broad dimensions, namely health, education, and the standard of living. Second, It seeks to measure poverty in a more holistic manner as opposed to solely relying on income level to assess deprivation. And third, in 2005-6, the share of MPI poor in India's total population was more than 50%. Which of these given statements are correct? Out of these three, all of these are absolutely correct. Multidimensional poverty is a way to measure poverty not just in terms of how much you are earning, but also in terms of what your health is, your education is. Because right now, most of the factors or most of the reports that try to ascertain whether you're poor or not only take into consideration your income level. But MPI takes into consideration other things as well. All these three are correct. In 2005 and 6, India's total population, about 55% of it was categorized as multidimensionally poor. So from that to where we are today, we have made a long jump. In today's Indian Express newspaper, the news is that India's multidimensional poverty rate has come down to 11.28%. In 2013-14, it used to be 29.17. 2005-6, it used to be over 55%. As we can see, the statement said over 50%, so that is true. Next is question number 4. Which amongst the following nations does not form a part of the lithium triangle? Chile, Paraguay, Bolivia and Argentina. Now, lithium is again one of those things that has been a lot in the news. It's discovery. So you should have read about this. Lithium triangle consists of Chile, Bolivia and Argentina. Paraguay is not a part of it. The reason why we are discussing this is that there's a latest development between India and Argentina. India and Argentina have come together to sign an agreement to explore and mine lithium projects in Argentina. Now, as you know, Argentina is one of the largest producers of lithium in the entire world. It has one of the largest reserves. These three countries together make up over half of the lithium reserves around the entire world. Lithium is extremely important in the electronic industry. It is used in a lot of the state-of-the-art electronic products such as electric cars, the smart cars, the smartphones and supercomputers that we use. That is why it's an extremely important agreement that the government of India has been able to sign with Argentina. Next, the previous year question from 2014. Among these, Denmark, Japan, Russia, UK and US, which of these are members of the Arctic Council? Now, map-based questions, you will usually see one of them at least each year. This is again one of those map-based questions. Out of these, Japan is not a member of the Arctic Council. And again, the easiest one, if you can just imagine the map in your mind, the easiest one to eliminate would be UK. UK is not near the Arctic Circle. UK and Japan are not here. Denmark, Russia and US, these three are members of the Arctic Council. Many people would think that US also does not seem to be near the Arctic Council, but it is actually. I'll just show you the map so that it is clear to you. Now, this is what the Arctic Circle is. Russia, now from the US, Alaska, basically the part. If you know the history of Alaska, it's very interesting. Alaska actually used to belong to the Russians and Americans bought it a long time back. Canada, then there is Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland. These are the countries that form a part of the Arctic Circle. Next, the fact of the day and something that is a lot in the news, that is the flights being delayed, especially in North India because of dense fog. We had seen videos of the unfortunate incident of a passenger attacking a pilot in the Indigo plane over the delay of the flight. Now, the question is, are the airports not equipped enough to get the planes to land in foggy conditions? And apart from the fog, what else creates a problem? Now, you have to understand how the airline industry works. Let's take a simple example. Let's assume from Delhi, there is a flight that will have to go to Goa. Then that plane obviously from Goa will have to go somewhere else. It won't be just parked at Goa. Let's say it has to go to Mumbai. Let's assume from Mumbai the flight again has to go back to Delhi. Now, this flight from Mumbai to Delhi could not land in Delhi because of the foggy condition. If that gets delayed, all these flights later on will get delayed, which are to be made on the same airplane. That becomes a big problem because it's not that one airplane is only used for one flight. Once you get down, the same airplane will be used for the other flight to carry on. So one delay leads to multiple delays, number one. Secondly, there is technology that allows the airports to have landings on the foggy conditions as well. There are certain airports in India that come under category 3B compliant. Now, what is category 3B? These are the airports that are equipped to handle landing even in foggy conditions. Delhi being the busiest airport in India, it is an airport that has category 3B technology. However, the problem is in Delhi there are a total of 4 runways. Now, out of these 4 runways, 2 are equipped with this technology. Out of these 2, one of them was not functional because there was some repair work going on, and the other runway also from one side was not functional because again there was some repair work going on. So basically the only way in which the flights can land in Delhi in foggy conditions is from this runway when they are coming from this side. So that means that a lot of flights are getting delayed. Now add to that the other problem, that is when the flights get delayed, the pilot is within that aircraft, so the pilot's working hours get extended. Now you can't expect the pilots to work for 8-10 hours continuously. As per the ruling of the DGCA, when the pilots extend their working hours, obviously you have to give them a rest time period. So if let's say this flight from Mumbai to Delhi landed late, 2 or 3 hours late, that means there was an extension of 2 to 3 hours in the working time of the pilot. So the pilot cannot immediately take off this flight to Goa. The DGCA regulations don't allow that. So you have to give some rest time to the pilot. All of that means that eventually there will be a longer delay in the flight taking off, and that is why you will see fog is one of the reasons but not the only reason why there is such a delay in the flight in Delhi and in other parts of North India. Also, it's not that only the airplanes and the runways have to be equipped with this technology. The planes themselves have to be equipped with that technology to land in foggy weather conditions, and also the pilots have to be trained in that. Only those pilots that have developed an expertise or landing in low visibility can be put in charge of such planes, and there are not a lot of these pilots available across the country, and that is why you will see a lot of delay year on year usually in these weather conditions. This brings us to the end of today's discussion of the daily quiz. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a good day ahead. Bye bye. Jai Hind.